Earlier this week, ActionSA's Dr. Nasiphi Moya became the City of Tshwane's new deputy mayor. She was elected unopposed in the council chamber after the EFF boycotted the election, saying the process was fraudulent. However, the multi-party coalition expressed full confidence in her. She joins us now in studio. Dr. Moya, thank you so much for making time for us, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to you and the viewers at home. And please allow me to send my condolences to the families that are affected by the CBD fire in Joburg.
What responsibilities are you going to have as the deputy mayor?
So as the deputy mayor, I'm wearing two hats, one that of the MMC for social and economic development, but on the side of the deputy mayor, I have two chief delegations. One is to oversee capital projects in the city. The other one is to oversee the original operations in the city.
Okay. So what are you going to be prioritizing, especially when it comes to service delivery? Because there have been some challenges in the city of Tshwane around that. Okay.
So the first thing is that the timing of the position is perfect because we are busy with the adjustment budget. So the first thing is to, there are two things on the capital projects. I've already received the Q2 review report with the 175 capital projects that are being implemented this financial year. On Wednesday next week, we're going to the adjustment budget discussion about those projects, while the work is starting on Monday in terms of visiting the projects that are not doing well. So the MMCs are inviting me to various projects that we'll have to zoom into during the adjustment process. On the side of the day-to-day operations at a regional level, I will have the meeting with the MMCs where I will get the plans from the various MMCs that are deployed in regions, and be able to ensure intense communication so that the residents know where service delivery is happening. It is happening, but I think what I would then just bring in is to ensure that those plans are known so that we can track the implementation and that we are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, so as you track the implementation, is there a plan to also hold the MMCs accountable? I mean, if they're not delivering on the commitments and the plans they have, or are there accountability mechanisms in place?
Definitely. So I will be chairing this subcommittee on behalf of the mayor of these 7 MMCs that are deployed in regions. Obviously, that comes without saying that if you give me a plan, then the plan must be implemented. If it's not, either we go through the route of the mayor having to work with me in holding MMCs to account, or working through the COOs if the issue is on the administration side, because one of my responsibilities is to oversee the COO cluster.
So you emphasized last week the importance of councillors just setting aside their political differences in the interest of the public and service delivery. Is it possible to see you guys working together in council, because coalitions have been mired by so much instability, including Tshwane?
No, it's very possible. Normally, the gymnastics is one day in 31 days of the month, or 30 days of the month. So, so it is possible, because obviously councillors in the main, they want to serve communities. And if you are the person who's given a responsibility to serve communities, I'm the person to work with them together with the team. However, we need to align these delegations to the governance framework of the city. So on the capital projects, we do have, we're going to have a Section 80 committee where all members of the various political parties will be represented in that committee. So I won't be working alone or only with the coalition partners. So at least then they will have a more sustainable way to get involved, where councillors will have a right to call for reports on certain capital projects, etc. So I think that is the most sustainable way to ensure that we work together. And on the side of the day-to-day, already so the regional operations are also Section 80 committee set up, and all members of various political parties are deployed in those RCFs. So they're already involved there. So whatever they're doing and they're feeding into their regional council forums, it comes to me, and that's the stuff that I need to track and be able to respond to what they are raising at a regional level. So believe me, outside the gymnastics, which it's easy to reduce the gymnastics, because if we're on the same page about the reports that are coming to council before we get to council, then the gymnastics is just the side note, but would have resolved our differences on the issues that matter to the residents. So I think it's quite possible.
Do you believe that this new position will help stabilize the coalition?
I think so. I think the reception so far has been very positive, especially from the MMCs, who are not necessarily ActionSA MMCs. So, for instance, on Tuesday, you will see us going to visit capital projects. I'm going to transport, for instance. I'm going with the MMC for housing. And those are MMCs that are not necessarily ActionSA. So it is possible, but one of the discussion we had with the mayor is that let's make it our intention to make them work, because we can't just say just because there's a position created, this is a silver bullet. There's no silver bullet in this. So we'll have to work with our various caucuses in making sure that we stick to the priorities of the coalition.
Yeah, the EFF boycotted your election. They felt that it was fraudulent. What issue did they raise exactly?
Actually, they didn't raise the issue in relation to the elections. ANC did, but the EFF raised an issue of a 10,000 rand that was paid to my account on a trip to Saudi Arabia, which was planned at the beginning of 2020. So then they said, obviously, I must avail answers in relation to this 10,000 rand. Obviously, that day, I couldn't even remember what they were talking about, but it was something that was easily, quickly escalated to the party, to the coalition partners in trying to figure out exactly what the issue was. And so the good thing is that council resolved that the city manager then must do an investigation in which even to the coalition partners I said I will avail myself with the answers the moment the city manager brings the issue up with me. But that was the issue that they raised. It was the ANC that raised had questions about the process that we're following on the day.
On the day?
Yes.
Okay. And how did they have access to that information, the EFF that is? And what about the 10,000 are they concerned about? Are they suggesting it comes from someone? There could be conflict of interest? What exactly was the issue? So
my suspicion is that because it's a travel report. So travel report in terms of the delegations in the city, as the head of department, and I was the head of the mayor's office at the time, I do have I have to approve before it gets approved by my immediate, at the time, my immediate manager, who's the GSO, and then the acting city manager. So I also one of the signatories to the report, and I then had to pull out of the trip because the then principal was coming back on a Monday. I was told on a Sunday, don't go to the trip, and the subsistence fee was already paid to the account. And during that time, nothing was making sense, and there was a lapse of judgment there because there was not even a reminder from the city side to say, listen, that subsistence allowance, please pay it back. And 4 months later, I left the city. So that's where the lapse of judgment was on my part. And so it wasn't paid by an outsider. It was paid by the city as a subsistence fee. Yes.
Yeah. Are you prepared to pay it back?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
No, it was definitely a lapse of judgment not to pay it.
Okay. So let's talk about the cholera outbreak. What's the status now? Because what's been done to avoid that disaster repeating itself?
So we had as one of the priorities, so in my meeting with the mayor, we focused mainly on the two things. One, the state of finance, the state of the finances of the city. The first one was the priorities of the capital projects, and we on the same page that the Royal is right on top of the list. And what he has given me, obviously it was in a discussion like this, there were no documents that have been shared as yet because we are scheduling a meeting with the joint committee that is between the city and the national government. But what he has given me just on top of his head was that the phase 1 is happening. It's phase 2 that seems there's a stallation even on the side of the funds. So I think I will have a substantive answer on that once I meet with the joint committee to get the facts in terms of where are the stumbling block in terms of phase 2, what needs to happen, is that something that is possible to happen, or as the mayor alluded, we may have to think outside the box in terms of the financing model for that project. Yeah. But for now, I don't have a substantive answer until I get the facts from the joint committee.
Yeah, and how are the finances of the city now? Are those being fixed?
You know what I saw at MPEC, because I attended MPEC on Friday. I was summoned for my department, and then I listened in to one of the presentations. There are plans that the city is working with the National Treasury on. And there are plans that just need to be implemented, and aggressively so. So right now, what we have is that there is a bit of like surplus here and there, but what we need to know is that that surplus is not coming from under expenditure, which I suspect it may. So there's some glimmer of hope in there, but obviously it's not where it's supposed to be, and I think that is going to take maybe 2-3 years to turn around totally. But the confidence that I have in the discussion I had with the mayor is that that is his #1 priority, to turn the city around. And the discussion was, how does my portfolio help in that, the infrastructure side? Because, for instance, the presentation I was privy to is the losses, technical and non-technical. Non-technical, we're talking about coordinating TMPD to, like, secure the plans so that, we deal with the issues of vandalism and cable theft, for instance. So I do think that from my portfolio, I can see how I can also just, with the current finances, I can also help in making sure that we tighten the screws, so there's no wastage of the limited resources that we have. But I do think that with the plans that I've seen and what I've heard at MPEC, National Treasury has been assisting the city greatly in turning the city finances around.